Well, I just got through resawing about 10 boards that are stacked up right there. And some of them were inch and a quarter, inch and a half. I resawed them on the bandsaw over there. And come over here and resawed them down. I've got a few more over here that are just a little bit under the thickness that I wanted. And I was trying to make some 3/8, but anyway. This is just a mess. It's not a whole lot. It all went into the dust collector and didn't leave a whole lot here for me to clean up on the outside. So that's pretty good for a whole bunch of cedar and a bunch of boards. I probably have a quarter of that drum filled up. I'm not even going to check it because it's probably about half full. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Some people think boards grow on trees. Well, they do, but they're not quite that easy to be had. This particular board right here was at one time an inch and a quarter inch board, and it's been resawed down, and so I've been cutting them down, cutting out the spots in them, and making them where they will go through the process, and that involves planing and resawing and jointing and surfacing. I'm getting ready to joint these edges right here so I can get a straight line, because they've just been sawed from a tree and they're crooked as a dog's hind leg. If you look down that edge, it's just crooked. So I think that's the best one of them. But I'll join them and then I'll cut them over here and cut them into blanks. What I do is I cut them into some 4 1/4 inch blanks here for this particular project. They're 60 inches long, and this is some of my scrap that I had that was just a little bit too short for any other thing. So I just resawed them down and surfaced them at the same time, and we'll get them ready to go. Okay, well, let's see here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm working on one, so I've got 9 of these puzzle boxes that I've got material out. I've been working on it since I got home, about 1:15 or so, and I think my time is probably around 3 o'clock. So it took me about an hour, almost 2 hours to get stuff down to this point, and creating a bunch of that stuff over there in the bucket in the barrel from boards that were like this, and some of these thick boards like inch and a quarter, inch and a half, and resawing them down on the resaw table. So I spent a lot of time getting them down. I did get some little bitty pieces that are sometimes useful. These are a little bit too short for plaques, that kind of thing. They're a little thin, but I might be able to find something for them to do. And getting that, and then of course all the cleanup. And then I've got one set up there. They got to be cut to size so they'll fit in the jig, and cammed up and ready to go. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I think I'll go inside and take a break. I did change the light on this to just a spot. I want to make sure that my heat wasn't too hot, and that's an LED, and it's just a spot. Points right down on the bit, and of course it's bright when I'm looking at it. You can't really see nothing because of the glare, but anyway, it does a good job of lighting what I'm cutting out. So all right, let's get back to it. As you can see, it's going down through there and it's cutting right next to the edge. And on the other boards, I probably won't need to use any of those nails, but these were coming loose and it was consuming it. So, yeah. Anyway, trying to keep my board waste as minimal as I can, and sometimes it causes a little bit of a problem if it's coming out on the outside cutting. I'm only doing 2 passes on this 3/8 inch cedar, and so it'll go down there once and twice. And I'm also telling to put tabs on it, but I've got it set a little deep. My spool board's a little uneven. I need to do some work on it, but right now I just know my work around what I'm doing with it. So it's going to go around there and cut some tabs. It takes about 6 minutes to cut these out, and then about 12 minutes per box. or 18 minutes per box, I guess, if you figure all the other parts that it's cutting. A little bit of sanding, and we're ready to go. All right, finishing up, going back to 0, and we'll lift the box up, get in there and take it out. Okay, as you can see, I didn't have much room over here, and the brads with them nailed in there, they were doing pretty good. This is probably the cleanest cut that I've had come out. And what I do is I just take a big screwdriver and pop it up, and then I'll pull the nails out. Okay, you can't really see them, but there's these 23 gauge pin nails that come out of there. And yeah, you're right, you can barely see that too. So I think, you know, the 8 millimeters, the 18 gauge brads that I was putting in there, you could see them, but these you can't even see them. And it held it in there really nice. So I'm going to pull them out with a pair of these, and it just doesn't matter, grabbing, holding, pulling them out. Let me get that done. All right, just run the vacuum in there, clean it up, and load one more up in there. These are my pieces. Those are the nails that I just pulled out. I did have one little nail that was in the middle of this knot, and it just broke off. And so that's the first one that I had break off. It'll sand off. You still won't be able to see it. You can barely see it right there, but it was in that knot. It just broke off. So anyway, these pin nails are nice. So I am glad that that worked out good. Okay, time to clean up. I'll hit the old remote and turn on the shop vac over there. Clean that up. Get it ready for the next board. Talking about a nail in the corner over here I need to get out of there. And there's my nails down there. Split them all up, clean them up. And that takes off running down through there, runs all the way over to the other side of the garage onto that fast cap reel, and then that's my shop vac silencer on the bottom there, so pretty nice. So I'm glad we put that in there. So, real light cleanup, and we'll move on to the next operation. Well, I just shot in 8 nails. You can barely see them, boy. You get it back away from them about 4 or 6 inches. You can't even see them. Anyway, anchored that down. That's some oak. Well, the oak cut out all right. That was 3/8 inch oak. 2 passes. Did a pretty good job. I'm learning my feeds and speeds on stuff. Just 1/8 inch end mill. And we're going to pop that up with the screwdriver and see how she came out. Alright, this one's cutting out the oak, and it's smaller size board, so we're not getting any perimeter. I went ahead and shot the pins in the middle of it, but I don't need pins on any of this. Because the outside shells, it doesn't go anywhere in the pin, so it looks fine. So I just overkilled that one with the pin nails. I will say, I think I hold a bunch of pin nails. And I was loading my 18 gauge brad nailer up quite a bit when I was cutting plywood with it. So it's working pretty good. All right, I got those 7 boxes sanded. I got 3 more in the house that's ready for finish. I've got to do a little cleanup work on these dovetails. Some of them came out pretty fine. Not a whole lot in there. I had a little movement in my CNC machine, and I fixed that with some pins. But these things right here, I'm fixed with a little bit of sawdust. Got some that are, well, I don't know what you would call that. They're just gifted. How's that? We'll just say that was gifted. And then I got an oak one here as well. And, you know, hey, they come out pretty good for mass producing the things and getting them done. I've got to hit them. I've only sanded them with 80 grit so far. So I'll hit them with some orbital. There's a couple of them that got some spots in it. I'll probably put a little filler in that and fix a couple of them like that. And then this one here was really loose. It was flopping around in there making all kinds of noises. I knew I was going to have my hands full and get ready to fix it, but I'll cut some slivers in there and sand them up. You'll never even see them. So gluing the inside keepers together, and a whole bunch of assembly of different parts. I think I used every one of my small clamps on the project, and these are Ranger puzzle boxes that are coming together. And there's that. Um, did develop or saw on the web, looked for a web, and I thought I need to do something like this. And I said, "There's Shirley's got an idea." So somebody had an idea, and this guy had this on there, and it was a shop teacher. And I thought that's the idea right there. So when I get ready to cut them boxes and on the table saw, this is the same size kerf as what the saw cuts, and that'll keep that saw kerf from moving around. And while I do that, so hopefully that will work just fine. And then getting ready for Ranger Derby, crafting over there in the back. Truck's full of stuff. There's my scraps from the last couple of days, and going to town. Well, that worst box of the worst, I basically taken little bitty wedges that I've cut off of my spark parts, and yeah, it's taken me 20 minutes of sitting over here dinking with it and putting little wedges in it. Little guys like right here, just basically put some glue on them and then pound them in and shoot a little of this. And this particular box was wild on the CNC. I didn't have it tacked in with my pin nails, and so it was moving around. So all the joints were, I mean, some of them were pretty wide, and you can't even see those now that I've already fixed down there on the other sides of a little bit of sawdust, and it'll all fill in. So I'm just getting to the boxes that need a little touch up from with a little wedge or something, and then put a little sawdust, and they'll sand up nice. Alright, he's had the corners that were pretty boogered up on it. They're just some softwood that had made that deal, so I just cut some new little wedges, put them on there, glued them on there. Got one right there I need to do the same thing too. And that'll make a great box. There's my little hoop. Hi, little hoop. Hi. I'm trying to see how my video is doing with this little hoop.
531579.
Okay, I used spacers on this, and they're just basically just some old packing papers from I think my laminate stuff, and I just kept cramming them in here until I was tight, and then this side here come out there. All right, when I'm putting this center piece in here, what I do is I put the 4 nylon lock nuts in there. I push this on there, down in there, and it sits on those spacers, and then that locks this in to where that, and then I put the little shim papers in there, and that locks it in nice and square. And so, like 11 alignment boards, this piece right here is really handy for having that for alignment. If you're just doing one, then you want to probably cut another one of this sets. This is off the third tier tile, and you don't even have to cut the holes in it, but this makes it really handy for setting your pieces. Of course, I'll use it in this next box, but I've got one of them stuck over there as a spacer, but that makes the alignment of the box perfect. All right, and then this piece here, I've got to put the rivets in, the 4 of them, put the 3/4 inch spacer in there, and then that pushes down nice and tight, and it's lower now on these boxes, and it's a better fit. The lid just has something right there to fit over, and of course I got to put my rivets in the 8 holes there to make it fit, but that works out real good. I'm just using a fast rapid fuse. and a accelerator on it. Okay, so I'll go around and I'll put the rivets in there, and they're just one rivet in each hole, and then I'll put glue around the corners of this fast acting glue. Then I'll spray it with the deal, and it'll just set right in there on the spacer blocks. These are 3/4 inch spacer blocks. And next time I go to buy these rivets, I'm only going to get the 3/8 number 12 copper rivet, and that way I won't have to sand them off. All right, I pulled this spacers out of both sides. These two spacers come out of the insides, and then I had, of course, wiped it down with a rag before I shot the accelerator on it, and then I made sure that all of the brads were coming down easy, and so that box is ready to go, and that's the last of them. Now I can start carving. Well, after quite a few projects, I cut out 11 puzzle boxes, 10 puzzle boxes, 11 maybe, and I'm going to pop up my 1/4 inch board, turn around and put that point up here, and put this in the back corner where I don't really use it very often. I just use the little pin nails and put it in place, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. All right, put that, just swapped around my trash board, just gave it a turn, cleaned all the nails off the back of it, vacuumed it out, put it back down, used the pin nailer. I'm shooting a 1 inch pin nail, 23 gauge pin nail into that. I had about, I don't know, 20 nails in that. The 18 gauge soft nails and the pin nails do not seem to affect my cutter. Maybe I'm just lucky, I don't know, but they're seems to work okay. So I'm not really afraid of hitting it. I don't try to, but try and put them outside it. But every now and then I know I am hitting one, but I don't really hear it. I don't know that I hit it. So regardless, it's holding my stuff down, and I'm not getting bad cuts. So I learned my lessons on my little puzzle boxes as I was using them. Cut out my joints. I've got some walnut ones there that that was my first one I made, and I've changed how I did it, so I'm plugging some nail holes. But the little oak unit came out really nice, and I got 8 cedars that are in there. This is part of the jig that I used, and I'll keep it with the cams, and we'll go that way. But there's my assembly table over there with all my goodies on it, spacer blocks, paper shims, and now I'm getting ready to carve the tops of them. Alright, I just used that pin nailer and put about 6 pins in it, and it won't go anywhere, it'll stay right there. I'm going to put my cams in there, cut out my center part for my jigs, for my boxes, and put my cams in there. Well, I've got the Roll Rangers carved in the Roll Ranger puzzle box. Now I'm going to finish sanding it, knock the edges off of it. The ore goes to some 240 grit, and then be ready for finish. This is always the fun part of doing woodworking, is coming up with the finish, clear coat on a all wood box. These are Ranger puzzle boxes, and this one is my Wise. doesn't have the Ranger emblem carved on it. The rest of them will get it. Alright, after I've carved them things, I bring them over here and I clean the emblem up with it with just this little fur ball on the drill press. It's like a 220 grit, and it just kind of cleans up the emblem and gives it kind of a little hand rubbed look. So then I bring it over here to this and use this little pad here and put them on top there, and I sand it with some 240 grit, and it's a little bit wider than the pad, but anyway, I'll sand it with that, and then I bring it out here to the finish station. Paint the bottom of the box first. There's one that's had about all the coats on it, the walnut one. And then I come over here, and here's my drying station. So it's just about full. I'll put the other two over here in a little bit. I can see here I got a couple little runs here and there, but yeah, they're prizes. So just got a track donated today from West Plains section. They don't have any Rangers within 100 miles in their section, so we'll put them to work in the Springfield section. And a little jig that I put in here for the box. Basically it sits in there, and then I carved the top of the box in there. Worked out pretty good. And been out here since probably about 11 o'clock, about 12 o'clock off and on, and sanding and gluing and getting things together. Alright, well, completion time. I've made 9 of these boxes. Already gave one away before the paint was cured. And there you go. These are a Ranger puzzle box. I guess 10 of them. My wife got one of them, but it didn't get the Ranger emblem carved on it. Got a walnut, and there's an oak down there on the other end of it, and then the rest of these are cedar. And my wife got a walnut box with no carving, just finished. And each one of these, it takes a secret to open them. And there you go.